Pressed up against the wall of a supermarket in the town of Sillamäe, soldiers from Estonia's 2nd Infantry Brigade are playing the part of an invading force. The locals, out shopping, seem unfazed. They had been consulted about this exercise taking place in the heart of their town so that it could be as realistic as possible. A few miles down the road, soldiers from the 1st Infantry Brigade are lying in wait to protect another town from falling to the enemy. These soldiers are practicing how they would defend their own country were an invasion to come from the east for real. No one thinks it's imminent, but since Russian troops took parts of Ukraine 5 years ago, the fear that it might happen here has risen sharply.
We're training all the elements of which Estonian Defence Force consists, including our self-defence capability and our ability and capability to work with allies.
In nearby forest, British soldiers from the King's Royal Hussars are preparing to help launch a fight back. 800 UK troops are on an 8-month deployment here, the latest to embed in Estonia's 1st Infantry Brigade. It is an ongoing deployment known as NATO Enhanced Forward Presence that began 2 years ago.
It's really good, really positive experience. This is the first time I've got to work with the Estonians. They're a very professional modern army, and it's going well between the two of us.
Any language issues?
Most of the Estonians do speak very good English, much better than my Estonian, to be honest. So language hasn't really been a problem so far.
It's not just people, there's British hardware power here too. The UK has sent Wildcat and Apache helicopters along with their crews for 3 months. The 9 aircraft were providing attack capability and air support on this exercise. And on the ground there's British heavy armour and weaponry, Challenger tanks, Warrior armoured fighting vehicles and Bulldog armoured personnel carriers. These vehicles and soldiers have now been working and living out on the ground just over a week.
We've been living on the tank, so different positions, so for instance like hides, for instance, like around here, just living on the tank, so you could sleep on the side of the tank in the bivvy or on the back decks when it's raining. It's quite warm.
It's not just Britain joining Estonia on this exercise. A total of 17 nations are taking part, most from NATO, but some non-member allies too, including Ukraine. In all, there are around 9,000 troops involved. This exercise takes place every year in a different part of Estonia, but this year we're about half an hour's drive from the Russian border. This is as much about hardball diplomacy and messaging as it is about military readiness.
Close to border, I think it's a philosophical question, so that British forces that are staying here in Tapa, for some people's mind is always quite close, and they are just probably 15 kilometers apart where they are today. And we're training in that areas where we are constantly, so that I really would not emphasize so much of the closer of the border. And at the end, as an independent country, we can choose where we train, how we train, and for what we train on our own.
But it is an immense show of force and of unity among the nations taking part. This is what NATO calls deterrence, a constant demonstration to Russia that NATO will pull together for even its smallest members. It's not just happening on the ground. A squadron of RAF Typhoons is currently flying from Estonia's Amari airbase. They've been taking part in Spring Storm, but they're mainly here to protect NATO airspace, policing it up to the Russian border over the Baltic states and sea.
Really, it's a day-to-day priority one for the UK of defence of UK airspace. We're now doing it over here for NATO and NATO sovereign airspace. And really, it's a very simple mission in a different country where we can hand over seamlessly.
The UK does get something back directly from putting this effort into Estonia's defence. Practice working with partner nations, a chance to learn lessons about operating together away from the heat of a real battle.
We've got a battle group of some 1,000 people within which we've got the Belgians and about 300 Belgians from the Chasseur company. And we're learning to work together. And I've been pleasantly surprised with actually how slick and how smooth some of those interfaces have been.
Russia routinely accuses NATO of provocation by holding exercises like this close to its territory. But Moscow too holds big military drills close to its side of the border. For Estonia and NATO, this exercise and Britain's long-term presence are about being ready for a real fight should it come. But the hope is that readiness will itself prevent such a fight from happening.